What if I told you that the person with no profile picture is actually the most powerful person in the digital room? You see that gray, faceless silhouette in your comments or your friend requests, and you probably think one of three things. It's a bot, it's a grandmother who doesn't know how to upload a JPEG, or it's just a boring, lazy person. But the truth is far more calculated, and honestly, a little bit terrifying. There is a specific psychological profile for people who choose to remain invisible, and the reason they do it involves a hidden power play that most people succumb to without even realizing it. But before we get into the mind games, I have to warn you, there is one specific type of blank profile user that is actively tracking your data right now, and I'm going to reveal exactly how to spot them at the very end of this video. Think about the world we live in. We are obsessed with being seen. We spend hours perfecting our main character energy, editing our highlights and choosing the perfect headshot to tell the world, "This is me, validate me." In a world where everyone is shouting for attention, the person who stays silent is the loudest one in the room. When you see a blank profile, your brain does something fascinating. It experiences a pattern interrupt. We are wired to look for faces. When that face is missing, our subconscious goes into overdrive trying to fill in the blanks. Who are they? What are they hiding? Are they better than me, or are they beneath me? This is where the psychology gets deep. For a large group of these people, the no PFP look is a massive power move. It's called digital minimalism, but with a sharp psychological edge. These individuals are often high performers or high status individuals who feel that their reputation should precede them, not a selfie. They don't need the dopamine hit of a like on a new profile picture because they already know their value. By refusing to give you a face to look at, they are forcing you to judge them solely on their words, their actions, or their mystery. They're essentially saying, "I am watching you, but you don't get the privilege of seeing me." It's an asymmetrical power dynamic that puts them in total control of the interaction. But let's pivot for a second, because it's not always about status. Sometimes it's about the online disinhibition effect. This is a psychological phenomenon where people act more boldly, more aggressively, or more honestly because they feel invisible. When you don't have a face attached to your name, you lose your social leash. You aren't a father, a daughter, or an employee anymore. You're a ghost. This is why some of the most intellectual, debated, and even the most toxic conversations happen behind the veil of the default avatar. These people aren't necessarily bad, but they're craving a version of freedom that our hyper-visible society doesn't allow. They want to speak their truth without the fear of social consequences. They are the ultimate observers. Now, you might be thinking, maybe they're just private, and you'd be right. But there's a difference between privacy and the stealth strategy. High-level psychologists have found that people with no profile picture often score higher in self-monitoring. These are people who are hyper-aware of how they are perceived. They are so worried about sending the wrong message with a photo. Maybe they look too arrogant, too casual, or too old, that they decide the only winning move is not to play. They choose the blank slate because a blank slate can be anything. It's the ultimate psychological camouflage. They can blend into any community, observe any trend, and exit any conversation without leaving a trace of their identity behind. But here is where things get really intense. There's a dark side to this anonymity. We've talked about the power players and the privacy seekers, but what about the infiltrators? There's a specific psychological trait called the dark triad: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Studies have shown that while narcissists love to post selfies, the Machiavellians, the master manipulators, often prefer to stay hidden. They use the blank profile as a tool to gather information on others while giving nothing away themselves. They are the ones who read every post, watch every story, and track every move, all while remaining a ghost in the machine. They know that information is the ultimate currency, and by keeping their face hidden, they keep their intentions hidden too. You see them every day. They're in your LinkedIn views, your Instagram story, others list, and your YouTube comments. They are the silent majority. And while we're busy worrying about our lighting and our filters, they're busy learning everything about us. They're playing a completely different game. They aren't looking for followers. They're looking for leverage. So how do you know which one you're dealing with? Is it a CEO who's too busy to care, a teenager looking for freedom, or a digital predator? The key is in the engagement gap. If a blank profile has high engagement but no identity, they are likely a power player. If they have zero engagement and just watch, they are the infiltrators. If you want to stay ahead of the digital curve and understand the hidden forces shaping your world, you need to join the inner circle. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to join the 1% who actually understand the psychology behind the screen. Now, I promise to tell you about the most dangerous type of blank profile. If you ever see a profile with no picture that is consistently liking your old buried content from years ago, be careful. This isn't a glitch, this is a scraper profile, often run by people using psychological profiling software to build a map of your vulnerabilities. They're looking for patterns in your past to predict your future. The best defense? Don't engage. Let them stay in the shadows while you keep moving towards the light. The question is, what does your profile picture say about you? Or, more importantly, what does the lack of one say? Choose wisely.